Woo, 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 woo. Hi, hello. How are you? I'm so thirsty. Excuse me. So the sun is officially in Gemini, which means it's officially Gemini season. I'm feeling excited. I don't know why. There's so much in the air. Oh, I guess I didn't turn on the light. That's fine. I guess I don't need it. So I'm gonna do that thing that I do sometimes whenever there's a transit. The sun has crossed from Taurus into Gemini. If I sit down and think about it, I don't remember what Sun and Taurus was. Um, this time I don't want to use the SKT, but I don't know what else I want to use. Excuse me. And I don't know if I'm going to use one deck or if I'm going to use two decks. I don't know. I kind of wanted to do another Elemental Dragon, but like actually pull cards. I do have. I'll grab one of these. And since I'm using these, I'm going to use an Angel Tarot. Now I could either use the Archangel Power cards or the Angel Tarot. Maybe the Angel Tarot? Excuse me. I know, big yawns, big yawns. I'm tired. But we'll see. We'll ask Bixby. If Bixby says tails, I'll use the Angel Tarot. If Bixby says heads, I'll use the Archangel Tarot power cards. I'll just have to grab them. Hey, Bixby. Flip a coin.
All right, here comes the flip. Looks like it came up heads.
Heads, the Archangel power cards. Okay, I'll be right back. I will be right back. I'm gonna walk back here. Excuse me. It should be immediately accessible. I would think. Well, I use this deck in a minute. I haven't used a lot of decks in a minute. Let's see. Come on, where is this deck? I just had it. I feel like I just used it not too long ago. But I did just like reorganize a bunch of these. One moment. This may take some time. Ooh. Oh. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. The Quantum Tarot I pulled the deck by the bottom and I'm just glad the cards didn't go up here. Let me see. There they are. Under the Lafruma. Okay. Ooh, excuse me. Hey, David, how you doing today? There we go. All right, I have the deck. I also got packages I need to send out. I am so behind. I had a thought earlier, and now I can't remember what it was. I was going to send somebody something. 5 of Ariel, 6 of Gabriel. Change your life in reverse, which is the Tower, 16. Where are we focusing today? Eve, hello, how art thou today? Do I have reversals in this deck? Or is it literally just that one card? Excuse me. It may have been a few cards. Oh, it was probably the 2 cards that were at the top of the deck. I think I put them back in the deck in reverse. Look like the 5 of Raphael and Change Your Life. Ooh, getting a little toasty, getting a little warm. I am, all things considered, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I feel like every time I have a plan, it changes. Slightly. It kind of sort of changes. But I have a feeling that whatever is next for me isn't, it's like further and further and further. Like, I have a feeling it's not in my comfort zone. And I kind of sort of keep landing on things that are a little more comfortable or convenient. But I don't think it's for me to not do whatever. I think the what is going to be the same. It's just the where that's changing. And I was talking to my journey buddy yesterday briefly. And I was telling her about some of the locations that I saw. And she was like, wait, isn't that like around the area that a few years ago that you just randomly got like the urge to move to or whatever? Excuse me. And I was like, yeah, which is kind of, so like when I graduated or at one of the senior events, there was a board and you were supposed to like pin where you were going after graduation. And I pinned the Pacific Northwest. And she's like, if you put the pin there, that means you have to go there. And I was like, okay. And I haven't made it out to the Pacific Northwest yet, but that might be where I end up going, which I'm excited about. But again, we'll see because the timing of things. I've been moving and divine timing. That's what I'll say. Does that mean that I'm on the couch watching Netflix and playing video games? Maybe. But when the time is right, I will strike. I will know. Which is kind of sort of, honestly, it's been the case. Like with my last job, one night I randomly got the feeling to go on and check and see if they had any positions available, and they did. And even with the job I had before that, one day I had the feeling to like make a profile on Indeed and like upload my resume. And I did, and then they like reached out to me. So it happens. But anyway, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So let's get an Angelarium. Do I want to get an angel? I'll get an angel face down. So I'm going to shuffle this 3 times. And the top of the deck is going to be Taurus season. Bottom of the deck is going to be Gemini season. And I'll leave these face down. Bottom of the deck under that is Buddha Tor, Angel of Calculations. Again. This Angel of Calculations. Again. Buddha Tor, Angel of Calculations. I'm just gonna read it real quick. Excuse me. Perched on the edge, civilization. Buddha Tor kept a distance from his brethren. His perch was at the edge of the forest, upon the line where the broken stumps demarked the boundary between the king's influence and the remaining autonomy of nature. It was from this vantage point of disharmony that he built his domain. Every step deeper into the wilderness was documented in his ledgers. Progress was pulled from the landscape, impressed as ink against paper. It was not the destruction itself that captivated him, but the process of it. Every step forward was an opportunity to build on his increasingly elaborate collection of tallies. Interesting. Barakiel, Angel of Lightning, is behind that. We saw Barakiel, Angel of Lightning, before, but it was a different Barakiel. I think it was actually at the top of the deck. It was the one from the Angel area, year 2. And it talked about the things that he could see, the invisible power stored in those clay jars. Is he at the top of the deck? The vessel, Brachio. That was the one that we saw before. Interesting. Excuse me. Because Gemini is the twins, and because Buddha Tor sort of sat kind of at a boundary between the boundary between the king's domain and the wilderness that lied beyond it. It feels like there's almost a quantum dichotomous energy at work or at play. But it's quantum because it's like as we are in one space or exploring one thing, we're simultaneously in another space exploring something else. Almost like being in 2 places at the same time, but it's more like something is mirrored than it is like acting independently, which is again why it feels a little bit more quantum because of that entanglement. The Wheel and the Empress, Archangel Gabriel and Jeremiah. New beginnings, end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness, and time to act upon your plans. Creativity is rewarded, luxurious or abundant resources at the cut. The Water Wheel is what sticks out to me the most. And it's making me think of a deer scare or like a perpetual motion machine. It's making me think perpetual motion. 7 of Ariel with the wheel. 8 of Gabriel, 7 of Ariel. So another sequential in different suits. All right. So 3 or 2. Should we do 2 or 3? Let's do 2. 2, 1, 2. We're doing 2, 1, 2 today. 2 cards for Taurus season. I'm gonna take a nap. One second. I'm pretty sure that's not here. No one knocks on my door. Yeah, that's not at my door. I'm like, I knew it wasn't. But for a minute, for a second, it almost sounded like it could have been. Okay. So, 2 cards for Taurus season. The Emperor, Archangel Uriel, with perspective, Archangel Camuel at the bottom. Stability and efficiency, taking charge of a situation, ambitious plans. The Empress talked about plans. Didn't we just see somebody? Yeah, in the I Ching, we saw somebody on the throne. The familiar or guardian of the Fool's Path was awakened and sitting by the throne. It was the 6 of Pentacles. Was it 6 of Wands? Was it 5 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, 5 of Ariel, 6 of Gabriel at the cut earlier? This wand almost looks like it holds a sunrise or sunset. Interesting. The Emperor is Aries. So this could have been something. Wait. That happened in Taurus season. I'm pretty sure it was Taurus season where it was like something from the previous season is going to find conclusion in the next season. Because with the Emperor here, it's almost like there's something that may have began in Aries season, but the plan was created in Taurus season. Second card. I don't know. Is there anything more to the Emperor? Archangel Uriel. So Archangel Uriel in the Energy Oracle cards is the 7th chakra, which is the crown. So we have the Emperor with crown chakra energies. Taking charge of a situation. Like I don't know. There is a slight, and is it because I was literally just talking about it in my I'm kind of proud of myself a little bit for the live. But it is almost like, I don't know if it was Buddha or what. Maybe it's as I was, oh yeah, it is, because it was talking about the king's authority and what lies outside of the king's domain in the wilderness and the whatever. That made me think of like the sovereignty, autonomy, spiritual authority of the king, queen, emperor, empress that I was talking about, and not using one spiritual authority or autonomy to co-sign or to speak up as if in an agreement through happenstance or happenings, things that one doesn't wish to experience. So, like, what does it mean to have a spiritual authority and to exercise it? And then we have the Emperor with a 7 chakra energy. That's what the card was. I would say so. Because the Empress talked about, I feel like it was the Empress that talked about carrying out a plan or working on a plan, civility and efficiency, taking charge of a situation, also the taking charge of a situation, and its crown chakra. Ambitious plans. I would say so. Technically, they just call the plans ambitious. We haven't seen the angel yet. I would think so. I am inclined to say so. 2 of Raphael at the bottom of the deck. 2 hearts dedicated to creating something wonderful. Kindred spirits. Don't give up on those you love. Interesting. With the Ace of Raphael at the cut, what? A positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insights. That's the Ace of Cups and the 2 of Cups in this. King of Michael at the bottom, or at the cut with that Ace. All right, second thing card, angel message for Taurus season, please. If nothing else, the plan is ambitious. But I was thinking of the King of Cups that came out when I used the Mystical Medleys Tarot. The King of Cups that kept coming out with the 3 of Swords. And the 3 of Swords was firing out an Ace of Swords to get those 3 out of the heart. And it made me think of the Archmage in the Deck Dungeon Challenge. That was very like, you get to ask three yes or no questions. And if the Archmage finds them particularly insightful or thought-provoking, then you are awarded a Tome of Understanding. Melissa, welcome. Excuse me, I love Scorpios. I was just talking to my ex-roomie. He's a Scorpio. Somebody else was talking about late October. Like October 29th. What is October 29th? I don't remember. I ended up watching Madam Web last night. And maybe one of the characters. I was on Wikipedia, so I was looking at the comic book lore. Maybe one of the characters was October 29th. I don't remember. So is that November 20th? Question mark? Or, yeah. No, I don't know. All right, second card from Taurus season, please. Ooh, I think somebody flipped over real sly. Like, I thought somebody did. Maybe not. Maybe not. Nope. Oop. All right, one more for Taurus, please. One more for Taurus. For Taurus. Oh, there we go. Now it flipped. Oh, we got 2 cards. 2 of Michael came out, and the 8 of Raphael flipped over inside the deck. Bottom of the deck is the 8 of Gabriel. 2 of Swords. 8 of Cups. 8 of Wands at the bottom. A great deal of activity, sudden and immediate results, important communication at the bottom of the deck. 2 of Michael. It will all be better if you just make a decision Overanalyzing a problem, find a compromise with there is something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right for you. A spiritual quest. Hey. Somebody said they were a Libra born on like the 14th. And I was like, is that like August? And he was like, October. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because I was thinking like Libra September in my brain, and I was like, wait, August 14 Libra? That's not okay. So I got the month right. I feel like I just redeemed myself. Thank you for that opportunity. This Two of Michael, the Two of Michael is akin to the Two of Swords, and the Two of Swords is the minor high priestess for me. But it's these two unicorns that are locking horns. That is really interesting to me. And then it's almost like their interlocking horns is summoning this sun, or like in my mind, it's like, or a meteor, like as the two unicorn horns interlock, there's this giant like meteor that falls to the earth slowly. And then we have the spiritual quest in the Eight of Raphael. There's something about timing that seems almost impeccable. And it's interesting that it's like, just make a decision and then find a compromise. And they seem almost antithetical, almost like opposite, or like what is it? It's not. What's the oxymoronic? It seems almost a little oxymoronic, like just make a decision, but then like find a compromise. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily have to be. But it is almost, it's giving me like portals or two worlds coming into alignment. Speaking of Scorpio, it's like Halloweeny, like the veil is thin. Um, it's like I was watching some maybe reel or some short about a probe that's sent to Mars, that is going to be sent to Mars, or that was sent to Mars. And it's like we send probes to other planets a lot of times when they're the closest in their orbits. And because it's two unicorns, it's like one unicorn is this mythical, miraculous, unheard of, whatever, but like two unicorns being in the same place at the same time is even more so. And I almost wonder if that, I don't know if the pressure of this Eight of Gabriel at the bottom of the deck is real or imagined. Meaning, I don't know if it's something that like we will or have necessarily felt, or if it's something that actually exists. Because an alignment like this, there's going to be a parade of planets happening. I saw that in a video. I don't know when. I feel like soon. And it was like 6 planets that are going to be visible. Most of them with the naked eye, but then it's also like Uranus and Neptune, or something like that. Excuse me. Like they're going to line up in the sky. Um, But it's almost like very right time, right place, very circumstantial. But this is like from Taurus season. So maybe it happened in Taurus. June something. So is that still Gemini June something, or is it Cancer June? Because if that's Cancer June something, and Cancer's been popping up, and I'm like, I don't know what all this Cancerian energy is about. It's so weird. I would be intrigued. I could Google it real quick. We're gonna Google it real quick. Parade of Planets 2024, June 3, early June. So that is still Gemini. Yes. That's like in a few weeks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. Time flies when you're playing video games and watching Netflix. This also reminds me of the clock tower that we saw in the Gilded Reverie Lenormand. And how like there were all the birds in the clock tower. A great deal of activity, sudden and immediate results, important communication. This is a like the emperor is also again taking charge of a situation. Taking charge of a situation. It will all be better if you just make a decision. Do what you know is right for you. I was just thinking about this. Interesting. What is the angel for Taurus season? Zadkiel, angel of mercy. Interesting. I'm pretty sure we've seen this angel of mercy. Maybe. To the table of contents. 67. Oh, I didn't go far enough. I thought I had passed him. Zadkiel, angel of mercy. When sins were punished, the king chose not to soil his hands with the messy task of enforcing his will. That grim responsibility fell to Zadkiel, who bore it with pride. There was no remorse in his heart when he took a life. For his work, he was granted great honor among the brotherhood. People gawked at the train of fine gold cloth that dragged in Zadkiel's wake as he marched to his appointments. But what really caught their eye was the glint of his resplendent blade flashing unsheathed in the sunlight. Whenever the sword of justice was witnessed, blood would be spilt on that day. Domains, justice, sin, and reprisal. You have been, here's the card meaning. You have been given permission to act, but your actions don't come without a price to others. The moments when you feel most justified are also when you need to show the greatest respect to others. If there is an opportunity to be merciful, put down your sword and let your power speak for itself. You have been given permission to act, but your actions don't come without a price to others. Taking charge of a situation. It will all be better if you just make a decision. Doing what you know is right for you. There's a whole lot of like decisive energy around Taurus, which I'm kind of surprised about, honestly. Um, I think too, I don't know, there's something that is just a little vague feeling around this. I mean, I guess it could be like we've all made different choices and decisions about different things for different reasons and in different ways. So it's not necessarily going to be generally concrete. Or maybe it's like more important than what we're deciding or what our decision is. It's us being decisive. Seventh chakra, Archangel Uriel also implies a greater, grander vision or a higher level of understanding. Now, the Eight of Raphael, being the Eight of Cups, but also mentioning a spiritual quest, there's something that feels very like granted, but it's not necessarily wish granted. It's almost like, I guess, a combination between a wish granted, permission that's granted, a request that's granted. And like an access that's granted, like clearance. I feel like I remember mentioning clearance ish. Recently ish. Um, and maybe that was the things that children don't need to know about, or the things that aren't for children to burden themselves with the knowledge of or the responsibility of. It's interesting because I was watching Madam Web yesterday, like I just said. I watched it last night. And at one point in the movie, one of the characters says, when you accept the responsibility, you will find great power. Oh, wow. Hold up. Okay. Anyway, it was like a Marvel. It was I watched it on Netflix and it was like Marvel superhero. And I was like, after I started, I was watching it for maybe like half an hour. And I was like, wait, if this is set in the Marvel universe, shouldn't this be on Disney Plus? But it was a Sony Spider-Man universe movie. So that's why it wasn't on Disney Plus. And then like it wasn't even until I was reading it on Wikipedia that I caught like Ben Parker, and I was like, Uncle Ben. All slow, all slow. And then a baby was born. We can assume they never said his name in the movie. They had like this guess my baby's name bridal shower game. I can assume his name is Peter because Anyway, it was interesting that it was framed in that way of like when you if you receive this responsibility or if you take on this responsibility, then you will be granted great power. Because the responsibility came first. And maybe that's something to do with all of this like be decisive, take action energy, ambitious plans. We have these ambitious plans and then we have two unicorns meeting almost to make it happen. What was still in Pisces? Saturn, Neptune, I think Mars for some of it. When did Mars cross over into Aries? And the reason why I ask what was still in Pisces is because there's this almost April 30th. So yeah, for the first, where's Taurus? Show degrees, please. Apply. Thank you. For the first 10 solar degrees, so in the first decan, for the whole first decan of Taurus, Mars was in Pisces. And then when the sun was moving into the second decan of Taurus, that's when Mars had ingressed. Is that the word? I already forgot. In the Aries. It's very, very, very high key, like don't worry about the how type energy. But it's also it's to recognize the moment for when it happens and to not hesitate to move forward with whatever. And that was all Taurus season. But again, I'm pretty sure in Taurus season, I forget how it read, but there was something, and I think it was in the third card of Aries season, maybe, where it was like there's something from this season that's going to come into play in Gemini season. I'm pretty sure. There was something from Aries season, and I didn't do Taurus season at the beginning of the season. I did it a few days into Taurus season. But it was that energy of like something from Aries season is going to blossom in Gemini season. The Blade of Justice. It's interesting that also they don't set Zadkiel up to be a justice energy. Zadkiel is more like the executioner. That's the Blade of Justice, but that's not the Angel of Justice. That's the Angel of Mercy. And it did mention the king. The king doesn't soil his own hands with whatever, with the dirty work of punishing whoever deserves it. But we had the domain of the king again, Budator, just outside of that, marking the steps as you progress more and more and more into the wilderness. Also, the last time I used the Mausolea Oracle of Souls, I'm pretty sure it was one of the last cards. It might have been, I think it was like the mother. I forget what her name was, but she was basically outcasted from some version of like a heaven because her and her husband, while they were just rulers, they didn't recognize whatever deity was mentioned. And so when it came to their afterlife, they were put into the wilderness, but they created like a shelter, a safe haven out in the wilderness. It is also interesting because I guess Emperor energy has been coming up in a way, not necessarily Emperor energy, more like that Queen of Wands, where there were the things that are just in general, it was coming up. There was the something found in the forest. Something had matured in the forest. And while our guidance, or while guidance in general was ushering people out of the forest to help us get out of the wilderness, there was something within the wilderness that was like now available. And because it had matured, we would smell the scent of it. I pulled Lila from I read it because it was given the energy of Perth, the pear tree. We could smell the scent of it. And then it almost turned into this like, there's something that isn't necessarily supported by the divine or the world around us. It's something that's supported by us. I mean, not like when I say not supported by the divine, it's not like it's like um, viewed as like, it's not something that like the divine is trying to shut down, but it just felt like something and read like something that like you don't just give it to the divine and the divine takes care of literally everything for you. And all you have to do is say thank you. Like there was something that our life force or the piece of the divine that we are created in breathes life into. And with this emperor, again, with an authority established in the crown chakra, therefore kind of sort of established in spirit, I think that's also why these two unicorns are here. Because the spiritual precedes the physical. If it's declared in the spiritual, it doesn't matter what the usual typical, it doesn't matter if unicorns don't exist in real life. If it's declared in the spiritual, they will exist. You will find them on earth. That's the level and that's the level of authority that this emperor energy has. Now we did see like Ace of Cups, Two of Cups, Ace of Raphael, Two of Raphael, and there are again two unicorns in this deck. So it is giving like a meeting of minds type of energy. Or it could be like soul tribe, soul family coming together, but like for a purpose. You know, it could be very that. I don't necessarily, I mean, it could be. Like it could be circumstances. Someone could be in a circumstance that is very atypical for them. And someone else or something else could be in the same, and it's literally like perfect timing. Like chance encounters type. Like I just watched a story. I don't know if it was real. I spent the first like 10 minutes of watching this narrated story on YouTube going like, is this real? I was like, is this real? And then I spent the rest of it like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to like enjoy the story for what it is. Like, because it wasn't presented like a movie plot. And so I'm like, they were just like talking. But it was about sextuplets. It was 6 little girls who were orphaned and then went from foster home to foster home, went from orphanage to orphanage, and it took 9 orphanages in like 2 years for those 6 little girls to finally meet the person who would take them home and for their lives to turn for the better. Now that's a unicorn that, we may not necessarily look at it as a unicorn like in the moment. Like that's a very, very, very unfortunate circumstance for for anybody, but especially like such young children to be in. But it's like they weren't placed initially where they needed to be in order to run into the person who would take them home. And the person who took them home, he suffered a tragedy in his own life that sort of like hardened his heart in a lot of ways, or that kept him from moving on in a lot of ways. And so it was very much one of those they saved each other types of things. But anyway, what's the first thing that Gemini season is bringing? 5 of Michael. I have to cut with that 8 of Gabriel. 6 of Michael with that 5 of Michael. Now we get a progression, and it's the same suit. The 10 of Raphael with the 6 of Michael. What? All right. First thing Gemini season is bringing. Oh. Somebody flipped over. Let's see. I promise something flipped over. I felt it. There it is. I was like, I know it flipped over. Interesting. Card number 11, Strength. Our major number 11, Strength, and it's Archangel Ariel. Archangel Ariel, we got Uriel and Ariel, is the second chakra, sacral, in the energy oracle cards, but there she is. Strength and grace through kindness, self-confidence, and forgiveness. I always look at the relationship between the woman or angel or person and the lion. And theirs is one of the least contentious. I mean, definitely one of the least contentious. Like, there's no contention there. This like sunrise, sunset type energy. Again, it's making me think of the wand of this emperor because that's what it was given off. But also, we have this sunrise, sunset again in the two of Michael. Strength is the first thing that Gemini season is coming up with. Strength and grace through kindness, self-confidence, and forgiveness. Maybe big on that self-confidence, because what's emphasized from Taurus season is a lot of be decisive, make a choice, make a decision, but also be compromising. Strength and grace through kindness with Zadkiel 67. What did it say again? You have been given permission to act, but your actions don't come without a price to others. If there is an opportunity to be merciful, put down your sword and let your power speak for itself. And maybe that's this. I think, again, if we take the second chakra, sacral chakra, Archangel Ariel, there was something that she had that was like blurry faced. That was a while ago. But like with the sacral being both a mixture of creativity and the space where we bring things um, to the world, like the space of the womb, the self confidence is in like oneself. I feel like this is very like this is very, very this for somebody that I don't know. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Raphael. A positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insights. It almost, I know strength a lot of times can feel like a test or read like a test, like we have to be strong. And it kind of is almost feeling a little testy, but it only feels testy because it feels like it isn't a test, but we may like interpret it as one, or we may feel tested. And maybe it's like just because we feel tested by a circumstance or situation doesn't necessarily mean that it's a test. Like whatever this strength, grace, and kindness is, it's like it's to be that, to remain that. Fearlessly authentic, because it's like that fearless authenticity in a space is what is going to progress whatever this journey of spiritual, of at least the semi-spiritual nature is. Like, it's going to progress this. And when this progression happens with us being in that fiercely authentic space, and maybe because we're in that spiritually authentic space, that's what's going to create these deep and long lasting spiritual insights. King of Raphael, King of Cups is behind this, Ace of Cups, and then the world is there behind it. Again, King of Raphael, King of Cups, is the energy of that Archmage in the deck dungeon challenge, where if we can ask like thought-provoking, deep questions, we have an opportunity to gain a tome of understanding. Also, of course, that reminds me of the Acolyte of Bahamut from the Magic the Gathering cards. And I'm just going to read it because it does the job a lot better than I can. Excuse me, because I don't have to paraphrase. I still got to find it, though. Maybe I should have just paraphrased. Oh my gosh, is this at the top of the deck? There it is. Which was this card? Is this one? And the flavor text says, "You were on a wayward path until Bahamut showed you that power and kindness can unite beneath the same banner. Strength and grace through kindness. Power and kindness uniting beneath the same banner." And maybe it goes to illustrate, illuminate, highlight something. There was, in a few readings, it's been very like, the world is changing in some very significant, in some very large ways. But, and I think the Two of Swords was around that. That pre-High Priestess energy was around that. That goes back to the Queen of Earth in the Good Tarot. It was the Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords, instead of her having her butterfly, she had the owl. And the butterfly, it was this tiny yellow butterfly in the Queen of Earth. And that's when I used the dice and I was like, okay, let's see that was about passive perception or active perception, which is modified by wisdom. And I was like, okay, what's the perception threshold we need to hit in order to see these tiny changes that will butterfly effect into these huge sweeping shifts? And we had to get a 17, which is the star, and the star had come out. And I rolled like a 4. And I was like, I'm failing this perception check. How are we supposed to know? And then it was like, your intuition will tell you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. Hey, Holly, how you doing? And after that, I was watching probably one of those natural habitat shorts, and I saw like a gray squirrel or something. And it reminded me of the sad squirrel, which again, that Two of Swords, that came out with the Seven of Swords. And it was like these little, it's like it's so easy to miss these very subtle changes that have large scale implications. Why am I talking about this? How did I get here? But that did come out too. And maybe it's going to become more and more and more obvious, or maybe those changes are going to start to ramify and branch out more and more. Cool. All right. So Gemini season in general. 8 of Ariel, Ace of Raphael. We've seen the 8 of Ariel, the 8 of Gabriel, and the 8 of Raphael. The only 8 we haven't seen is the 8 of Michael. And now there's the King of Ariel or Ariel, the King of Gabriel with the King of Ariel. We already saw the King of Raphael, the 9 of Michael. Where is Michael? Besides this 2 of Michael. All right. Gemini season in general or overall as a whole. Ooh, 2 cards just flipped over. I'll take them as the first. The Queen of Ariel and New Beginnings. New Beginnings was at the bottom of the deck. It wasn't immediately behind the world, but it was like 2 cards behind the world or something. Feeling feisty today. Ooh. Well, I'm not necessarily feeling feisty, but I'm glad that somebody is. I'm just like chill, tired. I felt so emotional yesterday. Like I watched a few of my shows, like made me cry. Was that yesterday or the day before? Moon was in Libra. I don't think a Libra moon has ever done that to me. But anyway, I'm still kind of, I don't know, like some emotional somewhere. Not as much as yesterday. Anyway, Queen of Ariel, mature, practical, generous, and happy. Nurture yourself and those you love. The ability to make anything more beautiful. Practical and wise advice. And then New Beginnings, Archangel Jeremiah. Starting a new life, finding your purpose, a forgiving and compassionate review of the past. We just saw the 10 of Raphael, 10 of Cups at the cut. This has given me that 10 of Cups energy. I know there's a man, a woman, and a child in most judgment cards. Sometimes it is a whole family. For a minute, Water Moons was doing it, but then they kind of stopped. Also, like they were like pretty emotionally charged shows, like, you know, somebody died in one and they were like, oh my gosh, thank you for giving me a chance. Like, I mean, I guess, yeah. There were talents and abilities. So it's one of those isekai animes. It's a show about someone who is reincarnated into another world where there's like magic and stuff. Like fireball type magic. And he has an ability to discern the talents of others. And so there's talent that he's discerned in people that would have been discounted by greater society. Excuse me, that in fact were discounted by greater society and by their families. And he's a kid in the show. He sees the talent, but his father is the one that still like welcomed them into his home and that honed and nurtured and developed those talents. And the father was passing, or the father had passed, and they were like, thank you for, giving us the chance to know that we can be much more than our circumstances. The circumstances of our birth, the circumstances of the situations we find ourselves in, all of that. Which feels like it kind of like works or resonates in here somewhere. Nurture yourself in those you love. New beginnings. This is judgment. I already want to know who this angel is. The first card, or the leftmost card in all of these, is a major. Archangel Uriel for Taurus season. Archangel Ariel is our introduction into Gemini season. and Archangel Jeremiah is what like this. Also, 11 and 20 are both numerological twos. So we don't have the high priestess, but we have 11, which is a 2, and 20, which is another 2. 4, 2, 8. 4 times 2 is 8. Anyway. Y'all hear that bird? I'm looking at the hands of this angel, Archangel Jeremiah. Interpret this card as you will. What does your intuition tell you about this? Maybe both of these. Oh. I want to peek at this angel so bad. This is low-key giving me not Archangel. This is low-key giving me Angel of Truth. The Angel of Truth. What's the name? The name, it's not Turiel. Turiel is the angel of the mountain. Who is the angel of truth? Phanuel. It's low-key giving me Phanuel, angel of truth. The angel who waits at the throne. Because there's this new beginnings, judgment, rebirth type energy. And then like there's this Queen of Ariel who's prepared like a feast. Okay, well, the plate is empty, but it feels like there's a feast that is prepared for them. And congratulations. So maybe Gemini season is going to be about celebrations. And maybe somewhere in there it's going to be important to celebrate yourself and those that you love, your loved ones. I don't know. It's like don't overindulge for some reason, or don't lose sight of something and all of that celebration. Maybe it's like don't allow. Jupiter is also moving, and Jupiter has moved. No, not yet. Jupiter will be moving in a few days into Gemini as well. And maybe like this Queen of Ariel, abundance and plenty energy is the influence of Jupiter moving in. I didn't catch we have this Sun Mars interaction again. The Emperor in strength. Like remember when I thought that Mars was exalted in Leo? Now the Sun is actually in Gemini, but Gemini sextiles both Aries and Leo. Second card for Gemini season. Red collectors. What? 4 of Raphael. Bottom of the deck is the 5 of Raphael. Again, 4 and 5 in the same suit. 5 of Raphael, everything happens for a reason. Release regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Search for the silver lining. This feels like someone adjusting to a new life or a new standard of life. And again, it was recently. I don't remember why or what it was for. But recently, it was that energy of like, don't be so focused on the past that like you limit your future growth potential. Like, because something about this five of Raphael feels like it's starting to breach upon the territory of feeling guilty for having something as good as they have it. Release regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Ace of Raphael is behind this five of Raphael. Ace of Raphael, Ace of Cups keeps popping up. Lots of deep and lasting, impactful spiritual insights to be had. Four of Raphael, seek out other possibilities, look for the magic in life, be aware of your own emotions. Hey, look, there's the dragonfly. Remember the beauty way? And the Queen of Wands, speaking of the Queen of Wands. I don't know if this is, there's a lot of confidence on the front end of this. Like Taurus season was about like gassing us up so that when gassing us up and wisening us up, so that when opportunity comes, we'll be confident and assured enough to take it, but also like we'll have some ideas of what we want to do. And maybe it's one of those like it's all fine and good and dandy, but to actually receive it may be a little like to begin living it, may be a little like nerve wracking. Um, it's like you like let's say you've worked a lot of this is an easy metaphor. It comes to my mind. Let's say you work a lot of jobs that you're overqualified for. And so then you're feeling like I could do anything. And so you apply for a stretcher. You look at the job, you're like, I can do that. I'm qualified. And then you actually get into it and you're like, oh my gosh. Maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe it's the sense that because there is an element of authenticity here with the strength, especially. Even with the Emperor, even in the unicorns, there's authenticity all over this. Fearlessly authentic, remember? Like maybe it's part of the deep, lasting spiritual insights are that like who you are authentically does actually have a place in the world, and who you are, like you can find welcome out there. But maybe if you haven't been you authentically in those certain spaces that you may find a welcome in or that you may journey into, maybe it becomes a little overwhelming. And maybe that's just because you're used to like coping, or you're used to like toning down or adopting other things. And maybe you make a really, really, really good, again, like because Gemini off the jump is hitting with strength energy, maybe there's a boost of confidence at the beginning of the season. And so the impression that you make is like a very, very good impression, but it's also super authentically you. So, like, let's say that once you, like, let's say it was an interview or something, and once you show up to work, like, you're nervous because now it's yours. Like, before, maybe you knew that it was yours. Maybe you believed that it was yours. Maybe you knew that that was the opportunity that you were manifesting, that you were being guided to. But, there's something about the confidence that was, like, thick. But then when you walk into it, and the reality of like this is going to be my life, this is going to be my everyday starts to set in, maybe you get like a little reserved, but you've already shown these people who you are. So then maybe they're like, oh, like, maybe they come to you as like they come to you seeking who you are rather than coming to you seeking who the whoever that whatever. And or maybe you're just like nervous. You know, because you're actually there and you're actually in it. And they're like, I don't know. I just imagine someone being super like bright and bubbly and in your face and like, oh my gosh, and like engaging you in a way that engages or intrigues, draws forth your authenticity. And so it's almost like you lose the ability to be like veiled, or like you lose your shell because your first impression was so far outside of your shell, was so you in your own skin, that now people expect it, you know? Like that's just one example. There can be a lot of things um, where it's like it's one thing to work towards something, but to actually get it and then for that to be your life. This may be like the adjustment that it takes. Okay. Where are we focused? Like all the way in there. That's where the focus is, apparently. And her seashells. Somebody mentioned seashells. Oh, I gotta go to the restroom. Um, and yeah, maybe a little bit of that guilt comes in again with the five of Raphael at the bottom of the deck. Like, am I allowed to be this happy? Am I allowed to be this well compensated? Am I allowed to be this like safe and loved in a relationship? Am I allowed to love my body the way that I'm loving my body? Am I allowed to whatever? Like, am I really allowed to be my full self authentically and not be like black sheep, outcast, pariah? Like, am I allowed to really be accepted and valued and treasured and appreciated for who I am? And it's like the answer is yes. But it just feels like on the back end it's some adjustment. Now the five plus the four is the nine. Nine of Cups, nine of Raphael. We've already seen the eight. Eight was what Taurus season ended with, and then the 10 of Raphael we saw at some point within the cut. So yeah. Wait, that yeah. I was like, there it is. And it was the dragonfly that had ascended the Queen of Wands throne in the beauty way. Okay, I'm gonna focus this camera because I'm not dealing with the blur today. We're not dealing with the blur today. That's why I love using OBS, because I can do this and it focuses. The angel is Ace, Angel of Anger. I was not expecting this. Is this gonna be a bigger deal than I thought? And Apes been stabbed in the back. See the sword going through Ape's back, piercing the heart question mark, or the heart chakra. Because it's almost like the heart and the body lies a little up. I dropped anatomy and physiology. Okay, I didn't want the class with the lab. The class without the lab was full. I went to class on day one. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I was afraid that we would have to like dissect cadavers or something. I was like, I can't do a lab. I'm out. And I dropped it on after the first class. I was like, yeah, I'm not. But I think the heart is a little off center. Like it doesn't lie exactly in the middle of the body. It's like on the left side, I guess. And so it's like it's piercing the heart chakra, but it's missing the anatomical heart. Oof. I forget that you're an Aries moon. Eighth, Angel of Anger. Where art thou? Page 23, which is a 5 from 67 to 43, 25, 23. Girl, numbers. Excuse me. Aph was not granted great strength, stature, or wisdom, but his resolve was unshakable. He taught men to fight, not with their hands, but with their hearts. He took to the training ground every day, outlasting all who joined him. The struggle fueled him, pushing his skill and creativity in combat. Though he was valued as a teacher most of the time, his tendency to publicly dominate his students terrified many. Compulsion, confusion, and pain are the domains of Aph. It is easy to see the clear danger that comes with naked anger. Be careful, as avoidance is rarely an option. The relentless nature of this persona can only be countered with empathy, which is its weakness. Consider the ways in which your own insecurities might be inadvertently nourishing feelings of malice hiding in your shadow. Ooh. Unshakable resolve. This is low key. I was just thinking about this. Was it earlier today? Was it last night? Was it yesterday? Um, Something along the lines of like us when we overly identify as something, the dangers that it poses to different experiences. Because this anger feels like this would be an anger that's directed at self for some reason because things have improved or because things are better. It's like if someone truly genuinely believes that you have to struggle in order to have or do whatever, then would that person be able to receive a happiness and abundance that comes effortlessly and easily? It's almost like that would be someone who would like be mad, and theoretically, hypothetically, like that could be someone who's mad at themselves because they're thriving and they're not having to struggle. And maybe it's a relationship with the past. I feel like one of these mentioned the past. Release regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Maybe it's, I thought something mentioned the past, but it's almost like, oh, well, if things can be this easy, then why did I struggle for years? Or if this isn't true, or if that's not true, or if I didn't have to buy into this, then like, why did I waste my time? This is so weird. Not weird. Interesting maybe, because it's almost like Gemini season is holding the potential for what we've been working towards, but the tail end of the energy of Gemini season generally is so almost abrasive towards being happy, which is understandable, which is very understandable. But like, is this not what the Emperor and strength and everything else was working for? I think sometimes we have, I think sometimes, how do I say this? I think sometimes we think, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but it's like maybe whatever resilience, the Dragon of Resilience literally came out yesterday. Um, it was alchemy, magic was the element, and then it was resilience as the dragon. I'm pretty sure, and it was 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. I actually have the star dragons right here. Ooh. $21. Ooh, I gotta go potty. I gotta go potty. I gotta go potty. Yep, 21 resilience, finding your limits. Look at it. Look, it's the heart. That's what was pierced. Hey, Janelle. So, wait, can you. Well, first of all, sorry for your loss. When you say a promise of aid, what does that like mean in terms of like when would that like when would the young adult know whether or not the inheritance would like be paid out? Because like to not apply for aid, I guess it would just be to like if the young adult could not put themselves in a situation to be there and then like or like I guess how reliable is the promise? Because if the aid or if the inheritance isn't there yet, I don't see what the harm of applying for aid would be. And then if the aid isn't needed, like um yeah, I feel like now if you're talking about like federal type aid, I guess I'm thinking like when you say I don't know if like grants will cover all of that, but I know like there's the Pell Grant and some other grants that aren't loans that you don't have to pay back. Uh, excuse me, but I would still apply for the aid, and then like if you don't, because like you can use aid. I think you can use it on like expenses too, like books, a laptop, if a laptop. I don't know what kind of trade school it is, so maybe there's other specialized trade equipment that like the aid could be used to purchase. But Excuse me. You could always look at it to get an idea, and then to like get more information on if you can get more information on the inheritance too. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely that. I just say like apply. I mean, and it doesn't hurt to get like all the information. No problem. Ooh, I hope you eat something tasty. See you later, Eve. Um, but yeah, I would just get as much information as you can, because then that way you can make a choice or decision with more information. Um, to decide not to, and then find out that maybe with aid and the inheritance it could have happened, or to assume, not I don't want to say assume, but to rely on a promise of the inheritance, and then for there to be complications or delays, um, excuse me, could provide more stress like later on down the line. Um, and I don't know what enrollment in the trade school is like either, in terms of like if it's like rolling enrollment, or if it's like specific, like this day, you know. But yeah, just get as much information as you can, and then it'll probably ease everyone's like nerves in terms of making that decision. But yeah, I would definitely say apply for the aid too. That's what it's there for. So, and it's worth it. Trust. I kind of want to get no problem. Of course. I want to get an angel for the in between, like a transitional angel. What angel stands in transition? Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, I feel like sometimes, I think whenever we come upon certain epiphanies, or whenever we grow and mature to a certain point, or whenever we come to realize things, I think sometimes we assume that, number one, those things were always true, and that two, we would have always been capable of doing whatever. And sometimes that's not the case. Like the two unicorns up here, like there's something about timing here, or something about alignment here. Like just think of everything that it took for you to be who you are. And like you wouldn't be betraying yourself or everything that you've gone through by allowing yourself to be happy. Like, especially if it's related to a circumstance or an event or a happening, like when it was fresher, like, or it's just like maturity, right? Like, if we reach a certain point as adults, or if we learn certain things as adults, we can't be angry or upset with our child self that didn't know, or that didn't have any other experience but that one to know that anything else was possible. But we just think, or we feel that had we known, then it would have saved so much grief or heartache or dark nights or whatever. But I think that too is something that we work within ourselves. Maybe there's something about the grace and the kindness that is also coming to meet this strength in Gemini season. Maybe eighth, the angel of anger. Maybe this was a strength that was predicated, built upon the foundation of this strength was that sword in the back. And maybe eighth never allowed themselves to heal. Because it's like at the point that eighth has students to teach, eighth is no longer that talentless whatever that had to fight so hard just to be recognized. Like eighth has that recognition. So eighth doesn't have to like continue to prove itself by, you know, proving it to the students. And it's like, wow, they're literally children. When I was a child, what was that? It was some show where there was like an adult who was wrestling, who was beating up on little kids. And he was like, the rules just say that you have to be 8 and up. It's 8 and up. Yeah, I'm 57, but I'm older than 8. It's almost like that. So this is also going to be like an internal dynamic or an internal power shift. And to have the Emperor in Taurus season, or to have the Emperor be one of the things of Taurus season. See, maybe, again, this can be like who we think we have to be. This could also be who we think we have to be in a certain situation to be respected. And we don't have to be. If when we interview for for a role, or if when we date, or whenever we're putting ourselves out there, if this isn't the person that we are, and if we're chosen, this isn't who we have to be when we get that role or when we enter into that environment, because that's not why we were chosen in the first place. There's something about discovering a new way of being in Gemini season. The vessel Barachiel at the bottom of the deck. All right. I want an angel for like the transition. Of course, Bezalel, Angel of Shadows. I was thinking of that angel just because it's like 2 of them. And then Chazakiel, Angel of Mists at the bottom of the deck. I'm just going to read the card meaning for Bezalel. Oh, that was it. Right after Ave. Revealing this card as a reminder that the concerns you are experiencing might be illusory. Perfect. It's easy to become fixated on ideas that haunt us. Recognizing a pattern of thought for what it is, rather than what it looks like, is a powerful tool. Now might be a suitable time to test your assumptions about what is really haunting you. And that's sort of transitioning us, or with us, through the transition of Taurus to Gemini, as we transition from Zadkiel, Angel of Mercy, to Eighth, Angel of Anger. So, yeah. Read some final cards. Here it is. A forgiving and compassionate review of the past. Literally the first card. I was like, I feel like something mentioned the past. A forgiving and compassionate review of the past with new beginnings. Archangel Jeremiah. I got a potty. I guess this could also be a time of things from the past, like closing out in ways too. with that energy of new beginnings. 5 of Gabriel, 5 of Raphael, Ethicite. 5 of Gabriel, a challenge you can resolve. Withdraw from the drama of others. Have patience with yourself and those around you. Oop, those dead. Not shuffle. There we go. Final Archangel Power card. Was there a card that... No, it almost looked like it for a second. I saw purple, a flash of purple. Oop. That hit the table. And let it face down. Solutions. Archangel Zadkiel. Archangel Zadkiel. And we literally just had the Angel of Mercy. Zadkiel. Cool. Success that comes from objective compromise, self-control and patience, forgiving and healing energy. There's the card with some glare. There you go. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Raphael. Understanding, giving, and psychic. This is Queen of Cups, pre-High Priestess. Follow your heart, a love of home and family, trustworthy psychic information. Trustworthy information, wait. Solutions. Solutions and the pre-High Priestess. Interesting. It is very warm in here. This is like the one room that gets no air, or very rarely. Sometimes I like randomly feel it. All right. Final Angelarium Oracle of the Fallen. Angel Oracle card. They're just going to keep going until, there we go. 2 angels flipped over, Ananiel, the Destroyer, and the King, Samyaza. Here's the King again. The Destroyer and the King. Interesting. I'll read the card meanings. Bottom of the deck is Kokabiel, Angel of the Stars. Maybe that's about the Parade of Planets. Maybe it isn't. The Destroyer and the King. It may be time to rebel against weakness. What? It may be time to rebel against weakness. A chance to grasp at new fortune is not to be ignored. The only question is whether you are willing to grasp what is available to you. Failing to do so will not benefit anyone, so don't recoil at the chance to take power. And then the Destroyer. There is an urge inside all of us to watch what we've built get destroyed. It's not always the correct choice, but all things come to an end eventually. It might be time to wipe the slate clean. There may be an opportunity to indulge in smashing something apart. Interesting. That would almost suggest, like, take the destruction of something that you've created into your own hands. Maybe that thing is a false narrative, you know? And it's not that the narrative itself is necessarily false for, it's like the narrative could be true for whatever time and place that narrative was born. But that narrative doesn't apply to something right here, right now. It's false in this context. Maybe it was true then. It's not true anymore. Or maybe it's not true for this. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality all of the best with accepting, receiving the fruits of your labor, and working through the recognition that you may receive or the celebration of your authenticity. And if the past needs a forgiving, compassionate review, then all the best with that. And I'll catch y'all later. Bye.